all know situations in which group work, such as meetings or brainstormings, are problematic. So they might take too long, or some people might contribute less than the others. So, for example, in the context of brainstorming research, for instance, described the problem of free riding, which means that people think that their contribution is dispensable in group work, and this can lead to imbalanced participation. So one solution to this are group mirrors. These are visualizations that can be displayed on tables or walls and that reflect the group's behavior. So in this example, a bar chart displays the speaking times of the group members. So the person is represented with different colors, and here you can see that the person represented with red spoke the most, and the person represented with blue spoke the least. And actually, most group mirrors work similar to that example. So they allow group members to compare their performance to the performance of the other group members. And research on group mirrors actually has shown that this can lead to better performance. However, people also report about feeling under pressure and that a competitive behavior can arise through these visualizations. However, literature, for example, from psychology or sociology, report about a lot of benefits of supporting cooperative behavior instead of competition. So our idea was to use a visualization that focuses more on the cooperative aspects to see if these more cooperative visualizations can have the same effect on performance, but at the same time maybe produce less pressure on the group. So before the main study, we made two initial design decisions. We decided to use a wall display to show the visualization instead of a tabletop display. As in a previous study, we could actually show that both display settings work, but a wall display is a bit more unobtrusive than a table. And we also chose to use a metaphoric visualization. And this decision is based on a study of Streng and colleagues. They compared metaphoric to diagrammatic visualizations, as you can see here in these images, and they could show several benefits of the metaphoric visualizations compared to the diagrammatic ones. So to find out which visualization is suited for our study, we conducted a short pre-study, and we developed 4 different visualizations, each in a competitive, in a mixed, and in a cooperative version. And the 4 visualizations implement 4 different concepts. So the marbles realize a change of an amount. In the competitive version, each group member is represented with a different color, and they all have their own containers. In the mixed, they have one container, but still are represented with different colors. And in the cooperative, there's one container, and it is not possible anymore to differentiate between the different group members. The balloon version represents a change of the coloring, and the balloon version represents a change of size, the canoes a change of distance, and the light bulbs a change of the coloring. And the different versions work similarly to the marbles example. So we made a small qualitative evaluation which showed that the balloons were actually suited best for the purpose of our study. So this is so we discussed this balloon visualization with a group of experts of HCI and Infovis, and we made some small changes. For example, the exact amount of ideas of a brainstorming session, which is our use case, is now indicated with small dots inside of the balloons. So we conducted a user study with 12 groups and used within groups design. We had 4 different conditions, so the 3 different visualizations, and a baseline. And each group conducted an 8 minutes brainstorming session in each of the conditions. So we need 4 different brainstorming topics. And the study was realized as a Wizard of Oz experiment, which means that the experimenter controlled the visualization and also without the group knowing that. And she increased the idea counter each time someone stated a new idea. So our main interest was how group members perform, meaning how many ideas they produced. So we calculated a linear mixed model, and we could show that the mixed visualization actually was significantly better than the other conditions. Why is that? So one explanation we could think of is based on a study by Biersma and colleagues. They could show that different personality traits play a role. So they showed that more extrovert and agreeable people profit from more from cooperative rewards, and more introvert people more from competitive rewards. And maybe we can see a similar effect here. So we assume that both extroverts and introverts took part in our study, and the extroverts might profited more from the group representation and the introverts from the individual representations. And as the mixed visualization combines both, people with different personality traits can both benefit from it. However, this is just an assumption and still needs further evaluation. Another aspect we were interested in is if participation is more balanced in any of the conditions, and as research showed that balancing participation in brainstorming actually is beneficial. So we calculated a balancing index based on the Gini coefficient known from economics. The coefficient results in a score from 0 to 1, and a lower score actually means that participation is more balanced. And we could show that, as you can see, the mixed has the smallest value, so it seems as if participation tended to be a bit more balanced in this condition. So results from the questionnaire showed us that people felt most motivated with the competitive version, but it's closely followed by the mixed visualization. We furthermore asked how productive groups felt, and answers indicate that participants felt most productive with the competitive, and again, the difference to the mixed version is not very big. And finally, we asked participants which visualization generated most pressure, and answers here indicate that the competitive actually produced most pressure and the cooperative the least. In a final questionnaire, we asked which visualization participants liked best, and here we can see that most participants either preferred the mixed or the cooperative visualization, and we furthermore asked with which visualization participants felt most comfortable. And as you can see, most participants, so 26 of 36, felt most comfortable with the cooperative visualization, followed by the mixed. So together with the quantitative results, this indicates that group mirrors that are actually already beneficial in the traditional competitive version can be even improved by including a group representation, such as the balloon representation here in this study. And in general, the mixed visualization seems to be a good trade-off, so actually people like it, and productivity is best. So what are the takeaways from this work? I think on the one hand, it is actually valuable to think about including technological support in co-located collaboration. This has shown to have several benefits for groups, especially, for example, if a moderator is missing. And on the other hand, I think it's worth investigating how such systems should be designed, as this study shows. And what follows directly from this study is, when designing such systems, don't forget that you're designing for a group and not for individuals, and include, for example, a group representation. So with that, I want to thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Hello, my name is Roberto Martinez from the University of Technology of Sydney. Very interesting work. I have a couple of questions. I'm going to be brief. The first one is if you had any observations about how the visualizations were used, and if there was any interference when the users were looking at the visualizations, and how that made an impact on the actual work. And the second one is a bit of common sense. I don't know if you are considering also the nature of the task. If it's a collaborative task and you present a visualization about competition, it's like what are your thoughts about it? Because maybe it doesn't make sense to have a competitive visualization for a collaborative group task, and all the other way around as well. If you have a competitive task, and what kind of visualizations do you present? So I don't know if you also consider that during the experiment or for future work.
So to the first question, so actually we observed that people looked at the visualization quite a lot. So, but this may be due to, because it was a user study and they knew that they somehow evaluated maybe the system. But maybe if they would use it more often, maybe this would fade out and they would only use it when they think that they would need it. Was that your question? And to the second question, so I think it highly depends on the use case. So brainstorming actually is a use case where, for example, balanced participation is something that you want to achieve. And it might be that, therefore, the cooperative visualization might be suited for that better than for more competitive situations. So, but actually, the group mirrors that I know of that are designed for such scenarios are mostly for like supporting cooperation. And I think, therefore, it makes sense to think about visualizations that are more cooperative.
Thank you.